Hello and welcome to the Wind Up, your weekly recap show where I, Sean Philip Naylor, and the lovely Miss Maya Cookbone, say lovely loosely, recap the latest episode of RuPaul's Drag Race. This incarnation is season 15. And don't forget that you can follow us at the windup_pod on Instagram and TikTok to keep up with all of our fun shenanigans. And you can follow Maya at Microphone with an F, not a PH, because crap hone. And you can follow me at Sean Phillip Official because I am not official. So yeah, that's where you can do all those things. Hi Maya, how are you?
Goodbye. No.
Goodbye.
I'm well. I'm well. It's a gorgeous rainy evening here on the Gold Coast. How are you?
I am so fucking tired. And now we have to review our 90-minute episodes. But before we do that, cheers to this episode.
Oh yeah, cheers.
Cheers.
Chink.
Chink. And what are you drinking? Yep. What are you drinking?
Sorry, I was
What are
taking a
you
sip
drinking?
first.
Don't sip. Tell me
I'm
what you're drinking.
fucking getting it, cunt. Uh, so classy. This week I'm drinking a Vignette del Sol Suave.
I tell you, you
Nice little
Australians just
Suave.
butcher the English language. It's not English.
That was Italian. The product of Italia.
Italy.
Be Italian. You know when Fergie was in Nine?
Oh
Be
yeah.
Italian.
Kate Hudson. I like
As
the
the
song
whore.
Kate Hudson sings in that one. Not that you
Into the
asked.
cinema Italiano.
Yeah, that one. Not
Guido,
that
Guido, Guido.
look,
Guido, Guido. I was
I'm
getting there. What are you drinking?
drinking a very, very pale drink. It is a
Yay.
bijou something French.
The way you Brits butcher the French language.
So the long-awaited 90-minute episodes are back. What do you think?
I think they lied. No, well, I mean, as we've established, it's actually only an extra 20 minutes of the episode, because they're 90 minutes on TV with ads. The one thing I will say, while yes, this episode did feel lengthy in places, and I'm not usually one to say I don't like a little bit of length. Um, while this episode did feel lengthy in some places, I do feel like we got to see a good amount of things that were necessary. Like this was a great lip sync, like a long, lengthy lip sync that was really good. Um, we got to see the judges' deliberations back. Um, like we got an actual proper mini challenge back. So there was bits and pieces of this episode that worked with the extra 20 minutes. Um, but overall, I hated this episode. I hated the challenge. I hated the pairings. Yeah, it was not a good episode. And I honestly thought it was going to be a multi-queen bottom, um, or at very least a complete different bottom two than what we got.
Yeah, the bottom two is interesting, but yes, I'm calling it and saying this has been my favorite lip sync of the season so far. Even more so than Anitra and
Second.
Sasha for me.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Um, I honestly thought, and we'll obviously get to it, but I did honestly think that this was going to be a double Shantae.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when it wasn't, I was like, okay. And then when I found out what next week's challenge was, I was like, oh, okay. Right. Right. I see you. I see you, production. But we'll get to that when we get to that.
We will indeed. So this week's episode starts off with a mirror message from Miss Malaysia Baby Doll Fox. She has gone. We get a little bit of workroom chat, a crying dog, if you can hear
With
that, with
No, I
Lucy.
can't. So, the Queen's making fun of Selena, saying that she's getting real good at cleaning that mirror.
Oh, what happens next? I'm fast forwarding. So Lucy again feels like she came second.
Yes,
Uh,
the delusion from douche deluge.
Delusion from douche deluge, and then Lux is in her having that little tete-a-tete about coming for her crown. She was like, "Yeah, I'm coming." She's like, "No, me," and it's just anyway. I mean, did it need to be a long episode? We spent too much time here.
Yeah, there was a lot of at the start of just fluffing around, and I'm like, although I do love how they all called Lucy out about not being pregnant with her Beyonce look, and she's like, Beyonce wasn't
Yes.
that pregnant. It's like, Beyonce was still showing quite clearly because that's how she was able to rub the bump. Because if she was just rubbing a flat stomach, then it would make no fucking sense to anyone. We also got a room ale for the first time this season.
Is that the first time this whole season?
Yes, first time this whole season we got a room ale.
She's done already done it. Hers. I can't do it.
She done already done had hers is
What she said. Yes, and she throws in a few references to comedy duos like Cheech and Chong, French and Saunders, Broad City.
I missed all that. All I heard was the Cheech and Chong in the room ale, and then I was like, oh yeah, comedy, and then I
Yeah,
stopped listening.
she started it with "Excuse my French and Saunders."
Ah,
Camp.
right. I heard her
But I
say
didn't hear
something
that the
about
first time.
sometimes you've got to cheat and sometimes you I do remember her saying sometimes you got to cheat and sometimes you got to chong. Or sometimes you got to know when to cheat and know when to chong.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
But yeah, so the queens already like between themselves go, oh, it's a comedy duos. And then it cuts to Miss Mama
Which
Roo.
also
Yes.
doesn't make sense because then there's seven queens. Like you want to make this a
Yeah.
fair challenge.
Well, it's funny because later on when they do the pairing, Rue says that she's put them into pairs, but says may the best queen win. Which we were in our household. Benny was like, oh, and I was like, no, it sounds like it's going to be. It doesn't matter what they do; they're going to be judged individually anyway. But then
Which they
they
weren't.
weren't, so I was very
Well,
confused.
no, they were, but they weren't
Yeah,
because
again, what she said.
they were when it came to the bottom, but they weren't when it came to the top,
Mm-hmm.
which made no sense. Yeah,
Confused me, you know. So
look
but
over
anyway,
there.
huh? Um, Mama Ru comes in and tells them that we're going to be having a mini challenge this week. And our mini challenge is going to be a Harlem Vogue ball. And they have to get into a 15-minute quick drag. And yeah, we're gonna have a ball, baby.
I love that they read Lucy when they were like, Lucy says she's got tricks. Oh, she did a cartwheel.
Yes. So just very quickly, who was your top and who was your bottom for the mini challenge?
Bottom was 100% Selena. I'm watching it now. It was just fucking messy.
Oh, throwing
She was
herself
just,
around.
she was like a fucking dead fish, just like flopping around. No. Best was definitely between Sasha and Anitra.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. My worst was
Um,
Lucy because she all she did was give me a cartwheel. But yeah, she was closely followed by Miss Selena.
I did love, I did love when Mistress was doing the whole putting makeup on, and then goes up to Marsha and puts the makeup on her.
Yeah, that
Although,
was fun.
again, I'm so sick of this narrative that Marsha doesn't wear enough makeup.
I mean,
When I get on the show, it's all I'm ever going to hear.
yeah, and then just don't change.
No, I won't. I'm going to keep doing the same fucking thing that I'm doing. Just being like, I'm wearing makeup. I'm wearing makeup. I'm
Yeah.
wearing fucking makeup.
And if they need to check that, then they can go back and watch the wind up in the episode where you tell everybody how much makeup you're wearing to give yourself a natural look. So after mini challenge, Rue announces the maxi challenge. Sorry, Rue announces the winner of a mini challenge. The winner of the mini challenge is Miss Anitra. She came out on top once again. And then we get maxi challenge. So Rue announces that it is the comedy challenge, and the girls will be doing stand up in front of a live studio audience, and they will be put into pairs. And this odd number of drag queens will be put into pairs. And
Mhm.
in order to decipher the picking of said pairs,
Just quickly before we get into
yeah,
that, so it took my housemate a little bit, but I recognized him straight away. So when the pit crew came out to give the trophy, and he's like, "Who's this one?" I'm like, "It's Super Jew."
you would recognize that bulge
Like,
anywhere.
I,
So yes, in order to pick the pairs for this challenge, the team of queens, they have to pick a can of bubbly out of a cooler, which was presented by the ever so bulgy Super Jew. And
no,
yeah.
no, 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 no. Super Jew presented the trophy to Anitra, and then
Oh,
Bruno
that's
comes
right.
out with
Bruno
the
comes in for
bubbly.
sorry, my mistake. I'll never forget a bulge until I do. Um,
But I love how it's just like they obviously put one in there because I mean the queens dig for ages in there, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's right there.
yeah. And we get Sasha ends up picking the same color as Anitra, so they become a team. Marsha and
Mango,
Miss Mango, Marsha and Mistress become a team with Blueberry or
blueberry or blackberry. I
Blackberry.
couldn't
It's a berry.
one of
Um, Lucy and Lux are another
with
pair.
lime,
Lime in the coconut. And Selena gets one of her own all to herself because there's 7 queens here.
raspberry.
Raspberry.
But
And
I do
yes.
love that they were laughing. So mainly Selena was laughing when Lux and Lucy got paired up, and she's just like, "Oh, weren't they fighting this morning? Oh my god!" It's like,
I
come on
got
now,
I gotta say,
production.
production. But Benny and I were saying when we were watching it, we were like, Selena is definitely becoming more and more likable. She should not win, and she will not win. She can't win, surely. But she's definitely becoming a little bit more likable as we get to know her a little bit. You disagree?
How much wine have you had this evening?
Okay, so Selena picks one can and nobody else has the same color can as Selena, same flavor. So Selena gets to have the option of going solo and doing stand up by herself or stealing another partner from one of the other queens. And she uses that right to steal Mistress away from her bestie Marsha.
So, I mean, clever because Mistress is apparently a comedy queen. I use the word apparently, sorry, allegedly.
The
She's
police are
allegedly a comedy
investigating.
queen.
They must have put all those bits of evidence in the
It's,
cutting
I was
room
going to say,
floor
like,
from those
it's going to be a lengthy investigation because I'd love to see where the fuck they're going to find the evidence of that.
in the
Um,
cutouts from the last few episodes that were 40 minutes long.
so Mistress is allegedly a comedy queen, so Selena chooses Mistress. I, in all honesty, I would have chosen to go solo.
I think I would have too.
The reason, the reason being is that I think I would be able to, because your humor may not also always gel with someone else's humor. And then trying to write something with someone else, always you're like back and forth going, oh, let's do this. Oh no, let's do this, let's do this. And then you've also got to have the same comedic timing. Whereas on your own, like I would much rather either succeed gloriously on my own or fail miserably on my own, as opposed to pairing with someone and then being brought down because of them.
Well, speaking to the point of doing it on your own, Anitra gets the privilege of being able to assign who the running order of the stand-up. And I think she did Marsha a big favor by letting her go first by herself, because that would have given Marsha a perfect opportunity to introduce everybody that's about to come and read them
Mhm.
and make some really, really funny jokes to,
As in almost act as the host of the night, and she didn't do that.
exactly. And so that, like, I really feel like Anitra really gave her the push in the right direction to succeed.
Yeah.
But she certainly did not succeed for Marsha.
No, no, not at all.
Not at all. We also learn during the picking and choosing of the partners that this week's guest judge is a funny lady, Miss Ali Wong, and that the teams
Yes.
will get to spend some time workshopping their routines with Michelle and Ali, which workroom chats. And Miss Anitra is suffering a terrible ocular migraine. It's really getting in the way of her business.
So I was getting my dinner prepared as this was happening because I was watching like killing two birds with one stone, and my housemate was sitting here watching it with me. But he wasn't watching it. He was like on his phone at the same time. And Anitra does her whole, she's like, I can feel a migraine coming on. I've got a migraine, something about migraine, and then says migraine one more time. And then she does the whole, she's like, I can feel it throbbing and my vision's getting blurred. And he pipes up and he's like, oh, she's got a migraine. I'm like, thanks, Captain Obvious. She's not only mentioned that the last four fucking times. And he went, what? I'm like, she's literally just said four times she has a migraine. He's like, oh, I wasn't paying attention. I'm like, I fucking realized that.
Oh, Brock, keep scrolling, honey. Keep scrolling. But yeah, so she's having a real rough time of it with this migraine. Other than that, there wasn't really any good chitter chatter coming from the workroom. Um,
Not
it was
really,
more
no.
about like Marsha doing it on her own and the teams just kind of figuring out the direction that they wanted to go in. So after the workroom chat, we then get to see the queens workshopping their routines with Michelle and Ali. There's no standouts really. Like nobody seems to be doing a
No.
very good job at all.
They
Um,
give every single pairing, including Marsha, even though she's on her own, every single pairing some notes and critiques being like, you need to change this, you need to change this, you need to do this, you should change this isn't funny. And none of them listen. Well, I
no,
mean, the only ones that listen are Anitra and Sasha, because Anitra tries out a whole bunch of like headache migraine jokes and they just don't work. And so they're like, don't do that. Um, I see what you're doing. You see what you're doing. Um, so they're the only ones that change and listen to the critiques. So we cut into the Queens back in the workroom.
hold on. I'm just
It's a
catching
limit.
up.
It's a
I'm still with Michelle and Ali.
oh, so while you catch up, there's the one thing that so obviously we all understand I don't do drag makeup. So the one thing I was like looking at while watching Sasha do it, and I'm like, why the fuck did you draw your eyebrow to end up back here?
Oh yeah. They like went right up to
Like
this.
when she drew it and like it ended here, I'm like, why? Why does your eyebrow need to end up here? Like I get the whole, big makeup, but your eyebrow does not need to end here.
So so during the workroom we learn that Marsha's nervous and the other girls are psyching her out. Anitra's feeling much better today. That migraine seems to have disappeared and she's taking her comedy routine in a new direction, which I think was a very wise move on her part. And then we get Mistress's story.
It sounds like it's a wise move.
Well, yeah, okay. But yeah, we get Mistress's story about how she doesn't have a good relationship with her family.
Mm.
Enter
Mum,
Untucked. Have you watched
oh, I haven't watched
Untucked?
it yet.
Oh, well, she gets a really lovely message from her family.
Oh, of course, that's when they decide to do it.
Her and Selena both get messages from back home in Untucked.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
Selena's was really quite lovely. And it just seemed really funny because like they've done this whole episode and they've got this whole workroom chat about how she's like, haven't spoken to my mum for like 6 years, don't really want to have anything to do with her because she's so negative and doesn't
And then
appreciate my
gets a
drag.
then
And then
gets a
their
message
mum's
from
on
her
the
mum.
couch with the dad and they're like, we love you, we're so proud of you. And I'm like, all right, mistress, what's going
Something,
on?
something's not adding up here. Yeah,
Have you created
yeah,
yourself
yeah.
a sob story or is everything just fine now? Um,
Ugh.
like, yeah. Hey, you weren't burpy for the past couple of weeks. Um, Great. So we cut to Rue's runway, main stage, main
This is what I
stage,
want to
and
talk about. What
oh,
did you think of Rue's dress?
loved it. I found it interesting. So when she first walked out, and I was like, "Oh, look, that's cute." But we've seen this kind of silhouette on Rue 1,000 times. But the fact that it was made from ring pulls,
Okay, cool. I was like waiting to see if you picked up that that's what it was made from.
yes, this week on Rue, no, wait, this week on Ring Pulls Drag Race.
So at first, when she walked out, both myself and my housemate were sitting there and we're just like, and I'm like, look, yeah, I'm like, I'd like it if it was longer. And he's like, I don't like the pattern on it, the way it's zigzagged around the body and then but random like TPs on the tits. Like, yeah, cool. And it wasn't until she was sitting down behind the desk and I went, pause it, pause it, pause it, pause it, pause it. And he's like, what? I'm like, fucking pause it. He paused it. I'm like, he's like, what? And I'm like, look at her dress. And he's like, what am I looking at? Look at what the dress is made out of. And he's gone, what? What? I'm like, they're the fucking ring things off a can. He's like,
Recycle, reuse,
oh.
repurpose.
I'm like, I reckon it's all the ring pulls from Bubblies.
Oh. So
No.
Rue
No.
announces that the obviously he introduces all of our guests, and Rue also shares that this week's runway category will be Rip Her to Shreds, which explains last week's ending when we were like, what the heck is next week's runway going to be?
Yes.
Also, when we were watching the
Yep,
episode,
yep,
there
yep.
was some workroom stuff, and Benny and I were watching it, and I was like, what's that dress? I want to know whose dress that is. It's all ripped up. And it was Marsha's that she comes out in later. Um, but yes, then we cut to our Queen's Comedy Festival, sponsored by Bubbly. First up
Yes.
is Marsha opening the show. Now, obviously, the jokes didn't land. Sorry, Marsh. But what I will say,
Well,
I did enjoy.
one joke land.
Which one?
We've got Ursula the Sea Witch.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that did. That was the only one. Um,
The only
enjoyed
one.
enjoyed her outfit. Very at this point is a just a very Marsha outfit. And what I
Yep.
will say about her though, I did when she came out, I really enjoyed her presence being a stage kid. Obviously, she knows how to be on a stage. Her pacing was good and her energy was good, but that's kind of where it left us, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Look, she looks great. But yeah, it just she struggled a bit with the comedic timing and the telling of jokes. Like we were saying, I if I was this, I would have chosen. If I was Selena, I would have chosen to go solo, and I would have asked to go on first, being like, "Hey, look, I'm the only one on my own. Can I go first?" But then been like, "I'm gonna read these bitches to filth," just being like, "Got a great lineup of comedic queens here tonight. Sorry, sorry, sorry. We had a great lineup of comedic queens here tonight, and now we're left with these ones. And we've got blah blah, and then just read the queens down. Yeah,
Anyway, so Marsha failed, apparently. Her
allegedly.
allegedly. But then she does introduce our next two queens who are up, which is Lux Noir London and Douche Deluche. Um,
Lux looks great. Douche is
yes.
there.
Yep.
Like this latex. The only thing I don't like with Lux's look is I don't like the white pump. I don't like this weird white pump with this skin tone latex dress.
Yeah.
Um, but otherwise she looks great. The hair is great. Big hair for her, which is rare. Um, but the dress looks great. She looks great. Douche. like I said, is there.
Yeah, I feel like because they made all the white jokes, so obviously the
Mm.
putting douche deluge as the punchline of the jokes being the white queen, and that's fine. But she she was not outstanding.
No, God no. Like this
Um,
is why I was shocked, and again, spoiler alert, why I was shocked with the judgment of a dual winner. Like of this, I was like, oh yeah, easy. And so my housemate, I was sitting here and we're like, Lux has got this, and Lucy is going to be pissed because she's
that
going
would
to
have been
miss out
so much
again.
better. Production really missed the mark. Sorry, Frankie. Production really missed the mark on that one.
Next up, we've got Sasha and Anitra, and
I think you mean
I'm not.
Anitra and Ivana Trump.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, I didn't love either of their looks. I thought
No.
they both didn't look the greatest. Um, but they also just weren't funny. They tried to do this whole stoner chic, like s- telling stoner jokes, and it just didn't go over the best. It was like, uh-huh.
Yeah, it was arguably probably one of the worst performances of the evening.
Yep, yep, yep.
And then up next is Mistress and Selena.
With the world's most long-winded fucking hookup stories.
Now, credit to Selena because she did chop about 45 minutes out of her original punchline, out of her original story. She got there quicker.
And yet it was still 60 minutes long.
Yes. But it was also about 35 minutes shorter than Mistresses.
And again, so Selena, I do not like Selena's outfit. It's
Oh, no, it's hideous.
it's hideous. And Mistresses is also very bad. Like, if Mistress didn't have this skirt cape thing, I think I would have enjoyed just the bodysuit. But with that skirt cape thing, that's just that little bit too long, especially because she wears, flats on the runway. Um, like it's just for me, it doesn't no, it's not working for her at all.
So after the queens leave us, we go straight to our runway. This week's runway category is Rip Her to Shreds. Up first, Miss Marsha, giving us, I was going to say prom queen, beauty queen, Miss NYC. She has got that crown. She's missing the back of her hair, but that's okay because she has got the crown. Um, Honestly,
Like
I
I didn't
really
I
didn't hate it.
I didn't hate the concept. I think again, the only thing that let her down was just the fact that Lucy did a similar look a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
Um,
but she
if
did
that
it
if that
better.
Marsha or Lucy?
Marsha did it better than Lucy.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. 100%. But again, production storyline. They needed to critique Marsha on something. They needed to get rid of her, and they needed to get rid of her before next week's episode because they couldn't have her win next week's episode.
Exactly. Which
Next up is Douche Deluge looking like a
douche to
ghost
douche.
that you. So I think with different hair and different makeup, this look could have been stunning, like gag worthy, like something amazing to because the outfit itself is amazing.
The
Like
outfit
watching it
is,
come down the runway.
yeah,
So with different hair and makeup, she essentially could have just been like one of those ones where when you think back of iconic drag race runways, you go this queen, you go this queen, you go this queen. Like she could
what?
have been one of those with dip.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, what hair and makeup do you think would have elevated it? Like, I feel like
Or
with the
what?
makeup she's
Both
done, it's
not
very
that.
much the nun vibe.
So yeah, very much that. If she had have gone and done her normal makeup, but in a grayscale,
Mhm.
with just some like not like wet hair, but some like disheveled starlet hair. So as in like old Hollywood starlet, but very disheveled, like not perfectly coiffed, but just like
Hmm.
slightly tangled, slightly messy sort of thing.
Just been
Just giving
dragged
it
through the
very much that
hedge.
sort of, yeah, like that I think would have elevated it tenfold and made it one of those like, oh, okay, yep,
Yeah.
stunning.
I would even not have hated Lux's makeup from the what was that runway where Lux was dragging the brick behind
Oh,
her?
the monster, the sea, the something where she was dead.
Yeah, like that because she had those like contacts in and then she had that really dead face makeup. Like I think that would have
Yeah.
been I guess less drag makeup and a more scary makeup. Scary the drag.
Oh, sorry.
You're
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
So speaking of Lux, she is our next queen down the runway, and she fucking killed it.
So I
Um,
will say she's a referential queen. Like
mhm.
all season, she's been making drag race references. She knew fucking Love Connie was in Legally Blonde, which none of the rest of us knew that. Um, she comes out in a replica of a RuPaul outfit from the 80s. Like she is a referential queen.
And we got to see Rue get a little choked up when she was critiquing this later.
Yeah, saying about how, like this brings back so many great memories. Like I wore this in 1986. Like it's gorgeous. Like just yeah, Lux knows what she's doing. As
Mhm.
much as I think, her silhouette is 9 times out of 10 always the same, and she's not one of my favorite queens, she knows what she's doing on this show.
Yeah, 100%. Up next, Sasha Colby giving us a
Oh,
ripped denim,
ah,
denim and rhinestones.
best, hands down, best look of the night. Like
She
I
looked
I
amazing.
loved this. This is stunning. This is giving me Beyonce on TRL. This is giving me Britney at the VMAs. This is just it's gorgeous.
Yeah, and she certainly knew it too. She's walking down that runway.
Yep.
Yeah, she
Following
looked
that is
incredible.
is Miss Anitra coming out as what she describes as a lotus blossom blooming through the mud. So, and apparently lotus flowers can only bloom through gross and hideous circumstances. Um, I love this look. I do. I didn't get Lotus, and only just because there's nothing about it that screams Lotus to me,
Yeah,
apart
I
from the
wasn't
color. But
sure about the drink mixes sticks
yeah,
too.
but like, I love the look, and as the judges say, she does have one of the best walks of this cast.
Oh, she walks
Um,
with purpose. She knows what she's doing. Up next, coming into this episode, I woke up on what day does it air here? Saturday. I woke up on Saturday morning and I went to my Instagram. And this next queen posted something, and I had to stop reading it because I was like, oh, I think she's going home tonight. And it's Selena S. Titties, and she's coming out. And so in the Instagram post, the like first couple of sentences was no matter what you see when you watch tonight's episode, no matter what the judge's critique is, just know that this is dedicated to my mother and blah blah blah. And it very much had me going, oh, she's talking about no matter what the judges say, no matter what the outcome is, like she's going home and she's upset because she's going home because she's going home on a week where she's dedicated her look to her mum. Spoiler alert, kids, that's not the case. We have Selena for at least another week. Um, but I like the message with this one. And I also agree with whoever's
Ali,
critique it was about making the whole dress out of that fabric she used as the shawl.
again, I thought the same thing. Like, this look is probably one of the best that she's ever looked.
Mhm.
Um, but I agree with Ali being like the whole focal point is supposed to be that cardigan or jacket or vest or thing that she's running around with, but you don't see it. Like You don't see any of that. So if she'd made the dress out of that, it would have given a whole different message. But like making this dress out of that fabric would have conveyed that message in a completely different way. But as it stands, it's just sort of like it's a nice dress with a little touch of what she was going for. I think, again, great concept or execution for her, which seems to be a running thing with her.
So up next, Mistress Isabel Brooks giving us her best Marilyn Monroe.
Well, she said
Sorry,
Madonna.
Madonna. Yeah, she says Madonna, but it's Marilyn Monroe because
Whereas,
that's where Madonna got it from.
well, yeah, but she says it's Marilyn Monroe doing a Material Girl, not Madonna. Not, sorry, she says it's Madonna doing Material Girl, not Marilyn doing Diamond Sarah Girl's Best Friend. Even though Michelle says, Marilyn sort of thing. But when she said Madonna, I was like, yeah, this is definitely more Madonna than it is Marilyn.
Yeah.
Um, so my only critique with this was the fact that it's not ripped to shreds, it's burnt to shreds. So yeah, kind of loosely fits the critique.
Do we think the
Um,
category could have been changed afterwards? So like the prompt was something else?
may, well, no, because every other queen has like quite clear, like shredded.
Mm,
So it's the only thing I'm thinking of. I mean, this giant tulle skirt as well just makes it look like a giant fucking puffy cloud.
it does
Um,
look cloud-like.
but I will say this for a big girl, she builds herself a great shape. Like she gives herself a nice cinched. She's not cinched, but she gives herself the illusion of a nice cinched in waist and like goes like boom and boom. Like credit to her. Um, like I do think this is also probably one of the best that she's ever looked.
Yeah, agreed. So critiquing the queens, Marsha, they say you landed some laughs. Your routine wasn't great, but you also stole Lucy's look. So you're not a good week for you, hun. In Untucked, Marsha comes back later on and she says that she feels like she will definitely be lip syncing. And then she starts to get a little mosh. And she's like, I picked a really good week to cry. 100% agree. That mascara, you did pick the perfect week to cry.
Next up, I didn't pay attention to a single critique that the judges gave douche.
Um, yeah, they didn't like some things. Hold on, I can tell you. I've got subtitles on. Michelle says that it's creepy and Bram Stokery. It's just so good. Comedy challenge. You clearly have a strong stage presence, and that was clear from the jump. And so we had a lot of laughs. You really, yeah. So they really liked douche, deluge. Up next is Lux Noir London. Obviously, everybody just frothed over her runway look, particularly Rue, who got a little emotional about it, as we mentioned previously. She definitely nailed it. She hit it out the park this week with the runway.
100%.
Her comedy performance could have been better, but she was by far not the worst. So good on you, Lux.
Well, next up was Sasha, and the judges loved Sasha's look. They said, hands down, one of the best looks of the night. They didn't love her comedic set, though. They said
Quite
that whole
rightly,
stoner thing didn't.
it was pants. I tell you, pants.
They said the whole stoner thing didn't really work. It was kind of one note. It didn't really go anywhere. They gave kind of the same critique to Anitra as well, but they also said that Anitra kind of looked lost in the fact that she kind of was just standing there for a lot of the time, which was true. They do love Anitra's outfit though. Um, they do say that, it looks great. She looks stunning, which is true. She does.
And then who was after Anitra?
Selena.
Salina STD. So as we mentioned, they said she should have done more with that fabric, which was true. They praised her for cutting down her
Cutting the fat.
cutting the fat from her original performance. Very clear at this point that I think she's safe. And then there's Mistress. So again, with Mistress, they talk about the fact that it was too long to get to the punchline for those jokes. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, curtains like really blowing. Mistress's look, again, they enjoyed her look, making reference to Madonna, making reference to Marilyn. Again, nobody pulled her up on the fact that it was burnt and not
Ripped. Yeah.
ripped. And that was it. The girls can leave the stage and the judges will deliberate. So for the first time in 2023, we get a judges deliberation. They did make mention to the fact that Marsha had the opportunity to come out. She could have nailed it, being that first queen doing the stand-up, but she just missed the mark.
Like Bosco did in season 14, which Ali mentioned. She's like, Bosco came out as the first queen.
I love how
And
much Ali Wong loves Drag Race too. When you get around to watching Untucked, she's like, her little girls make references to it all the time, and it's just
oh,
fun.
that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so she makes reference to, Bosco from season 14 coming out and slaying the first person in the comedy challenge. So she's like, Marsha could have easily have done that. So yeah.
Rue did make mention, and this is for me was the nail in the coffin. I was like, she's going home. When Rue says about Marsha that she's very green when it comes to drag.
Yeah.
She hasn't said that
Well, I mean,
before about Marsha.
she is only what, 21, 22. So
And she's only been doing drag for
she
2 years or something. Like she's new.
yeah. She's still a
Um,
baby queen.
yeah. So she's done really, really well to get this far and to get onto the show and to, have the platform
Yeah,
that she has.
absolutely.
And again, in Untucked, when she's like going through the motions of everything, she doesn't have a bad thing to say about anybody or the experience at all. She's very clear the fact that she's very lucky that she's had a great experience while she's been on Drag Race,
Which
which
is
was
which is
nice.
good. Like, it's good that she is also, she's obviously coming for that Miss Congeniality. Um,
And she hasn't received a villain edit. She's gone through the entire season very not
yeah,
under the radar, but she's had some highs, she's had some lows. She's been very safe the whole time,
yeah,
which
which
is
is
lucky for a
good.
queen who doesn't wear any makeup. Allegedly, the police are investigating. Don't forget to buy our merch.
Not me, because I'm a queen that doesn't wear any makeup and I'm a cunt.
You will get the fucking villain edit. It's not even the villain
And I
edit.
will fucking and I will play that shit up.
For the first time this season, Rue announces, "Bring back my girls."
Yes. That fucking
Yes,
time.
about fucking time.
So
Anyway, they bring back his girls.
yeah, you keep going.
No, that's it. They bring them back.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, so when I mean, obviously we get the announcement, so Selena and Mistress are announced as safe, which was shocking to me because I expected one, if not both of them, to be in the bottom.
Yeah, they didn't do good.
No, I was expecting one, if not both of them, to be in the bottom. Then that's them as safe. Yeah, we got Douche Deluche and Lux as announced as winners. As I said, I didn't think it deserved to be a joint win. What?
You just said that you didn't think it deserved. I did not
I
think
was
this
hoping
deserved to be a joint win.
I was hoping you were going to ignore that.
No, it
Because I heard it.
deserved to be spoken about.
I heard it. And then when you started laughing, I'm like, what? What? I didn't say anything. I didn't fucking say anything. I deserve to go to the circus and drink some coffee.
Coffee. Carry on. Drink, then carry on.
No, you
Um,
carry on.
I don't know where we are. That's why I told you to carry on. So they're safe. Lucy,
They
oh
won.
yeah, Douche Deluche and Lux. They had the white stuff tonight.
But anyway, Lux deserved the solo win. Douche didn't deserve
No,
a
Douche
joint
did
win.
not deserve to win. And then we're left with this really awkward moment of Anitra, Sasha, and Marsha on stage. How terrified would you have been if you were Marsha?
But to know that you were going up against either one of them, yes, I would have been shitting myself, figuratively
Mhm.
and literally. So Sasha gets announced as our safe queen, leaving Marsha and Anitra as our bottom two.
Like, oh my God, Marsha. It was funny
So,
because obviously at this point we're sitting there on the couch going, well, Marsha's done for. She's going home. Sorry, hun. You're
well,
out of
so
here.
this is the funny thing. So obviously they hadn't announced what the lip sync song was, but then Anitra does her little cutaway and she's like, something so where she says like, "I'm a boss bitch," and my housemate slapped my arm and he's like, "Have they announced what the song is?" And I went, "No," and he's like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "They haven't announced it." I'm like, "No." He's like, "I think I know what the song is." He's like, "Okay, cool." And then the song started and he's like, "I was right."
You were like, you
Doja
weren't because
Cat,
you
boss
never
bitch.
said it. You never vocalized it, Brock. Therefore, there is no proof.
Like, Doja Cat, boss bitch. Um, which I mean, I know because it was huge a couple of years ago, but also I know it from Birds of Prey. You know,
Oh, Harley Quinn
Har-
movie. Yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Also,
I ain't trying to be cool like you. Yeah,
it's
I
a
think she's
fun
so
song.
clumsy. Yeah, and I mean,
Um,
Marsha held her own against Anitra.
I
Although
mm,
I was just gonna say, like, there was a lot of moments where Marsha was just walking.
oh, frustrating. I was saying to Benny when Marsha was there and she's doing all of this, and she quite rightly did hold her own with Anitra. I also feel
Oh,
like
oh, I
did
forgot
the
about that.
the Free Willy moment,
Yeah, when Marsha was doing her like weird, like little crazy backbend thing, and Anisha's just like, fuck this, and dives over her.
and then it
I was
goes
like,
to her
that's I
cities
think
going, "Oh my God, they're just Free Willy."
I think that's what cinched it for Anitra. Doesn't
Uh,
matter about the rest of the lip sync, that's what cinched it for.
yeah, no, that was awesome. Um, but what I was going to say was like I watched this whole thing, and when Marsha's walking across the stage, I'm sitting here going, "Why is she not doing her ballet moves? She's a fucking ballet queen. Like, come on, like you've done it. We know you can do it. Why are you not
Fucking
pulling it out right now?"
pirouette in a line, like instead of
100%.
walking, like do anything, but she does a lot of just walking. And I think that's what lost it for her is she just does a lot of just I'm walking and I'm walking
I'm
and I'm
walking,
walking and I'm
walking,
walking.
walking. Um, she did a really, really good job. I think, as I said to you at the start of the show, this was now my favorite lip sync of this season so far. Um, I just didn't like. I didn't think she would be able to hold it with Anitra. And she
Yeah.
did, and she brought it. And the two of them actually had fun together on stage. It looked like they were both enjoying the moment, which,
So the biggest thing for me is I I would love more if a normal season had the opportunity for the queens to change their outfits like an all-star season does.
yeah,
So because some of these outfits are not lip sync performance outfits. They're designed to just be walked down the runway. I would love it if the queens were given the opportunity. So Rue goes, you three are the bottom three, you three are the top three, and the bottom three go and they change their outfits, going, okay, well, I need to get dressed into something that I know I can lip sync in. Because
they
that's
have
why
enough
some
time
queen
during Untucked so that they could still film Untucked and get them changed at the same time.
they because some queens, I mean, not this episode, because I mean both Anitra and
Marsha,
Marsha could perform in those outfits. But there are some weeks where a queen loses a lip sync because the outfit that she's wearing, she can't perform in. So it's not a fair fight. I would love to see it where they go, okay, well, you, the bottom queens, go and change into something ready to lip sync. And they go and change something. And then we would end up with more fierce lip syncs, I think.
um,
Do you think this possible, like, I mean, well, yes, I did just say Marsha just walked around the stage a lot. I do think that if anything was going to be a double shantay, this lip sync was worthy of a double shantay.
even
But
Benny, who's
again,
not really like
the
he watches Drag Race, but even he was like they both should stay.
but again, the reason why they didn't do that is because they could not have Marsha in the next challenge. Because having Marsha in the next challenge guarantees her a win because there is no way that they would be able to not justify Marsha winning the next challenge.
I know, but I always feel so bad for Marsha because it would have been great and epic to see what she would have done.
100%. 100%. But that's what I mean. Production was just like, her storyline's done. We need her to go. Yeah, she did a great lip sync. We can't keep her though because if she's here next week, she's guaranteed a win. We can't have that.
But
Yeah, so it's just very, it was obviously production wise, where they're like, we'll get rid of Marsha. And then next week we get a sneak peek of the episode. And it is, yeah, I heard it. Fuck you. I heard, and it
sneak
is
peek.
a ruse. It's a fucking rusical called Wig Loose. I am I'm tentative of this and I'm very confused as to why Sasha Colby looks like Frankenfurter. Like,
I hear
look
you.
at the preview
I hear you.
and she's got big black hair, like almost blue makeup, red lips, and pearls. But she looks like fucking Frankenfurter instead of like a woman of footloose 80s. Oh, and we get your favorite. Molly Poppins is the guest judge.
Oh my god. If when we're reviewing this one, my arm's doing this a lot, just ignore it. Okay? It's not for anybody's
As I said,
business but mine.
Molly Poppins is back. But no, our guest judge next week is going to be Mr.
Orville Peck. I am so excited. Come in me, daddy. So that has been the wind up for this week. You can follow us at the windup_pod on Instagram. You can follow her at microphone, and you can follow me at Sean Phillips Official. Cheers to this episode. Boom.